Hey, this is Pastor Dwayne from the Sanctuary Church here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And the question this morning is, how do we hear God's voice? So I have this friend, his name is Carlos, and Carlos teaches at one of the Catholic high schools here, and he teaches ethics. And one of the stories he told me this idea that there was a young boy in the class who had always given him a hard time, always created problems for him, and just drove him absolutely crazy. He said, but then the young boy, his senior year, said something really horrible and nasty to this girl in his class, and he couldn't believe it. And the kids came to Carlos and they said, you're not going to let him get away with that, are you? He said, no, I'm going to call the principal in and I'm going to call his father in. He said, so at night, every night, Carlos would go walking, and when he goes walking, he prays. And he's a big Cuban guy, so you got to imagine a big Cuban man walking down the streets at night, praying, and he prays with his hands. He does a lot of this as he talks. So there were people that for a long time were a little bit worried about Carlos and who this guy was walking down the street praying to God in this way. He said, so he would walk as far as he wanted to, and then he would turn around, and he would quietly listen to God's voice, what God was saying to him about these things. And he said, as he was praying the night before he met with this young boy that he was so happy because what was going to happen is he was going to get in trouble, he was going to get kicked out of school, and he wasn't going to be able to graduate with his class, and all the headaches and hard times that he had been given are all going to be paid back on this kid. And he's like, he couldn't wait. So he's praying to God that evening, and he says, I'll pray about anything, God, but I don't want to hear anything about this young boy because I've made my mind up. He is not going to graduate. He's going to take a payback. And he walked back slowly and quietly. The next day, the young man was called into his class, and he told him, he said, you got one thing you want to say to me before I tell you what's going to happen. And the young man looked at him, and one tear came down his eye. And Carlos was going like, God, come on, that isn't fair. That's not even fair. You can't have him cry. And so he listened to the young man's story that his dad had divorced his mother, and his dad basically spent most of the evenings out, and he was left alone home. And all he really wanted to do was go to a school away. And so Carlos said, God, okay, I asked you not to talk to me about this, but you did. And so he helped the young man get to a school that was away and out of the state. He helped him walk through the problems with his father. He said, sometimes you ask God not to speak to you, and it's when God speaks to you the very loudest. So don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And if you like what you're hearing, don't forget to share. Take care.